Hello everyone, my name is Naveed Kanani. I'm an attorney here in California, and the purpose of this video is to provide a resource to the community here for the current situation here we're all dealing with, specifically the coronavirus pandemic. So thank you for checking this out. I wanted to speak a little more generally at first and then dive into some employee-specific if you would call it changes in the law that I think everyone should be up to speed on. Now, generally we know that, or if you don't, the federal and state tax return deadline has been extended through to July 15th, 2020. Also, with respect to school districts closing down, although the school's closed, students who are in need can go to the school to pick up meals throughout the weekdays. So for those resources, you can go obviously to the respective websites for taxes and for your specific school district. More specifically relating to employment law in California, we're seeing several changes. So last week we saw a new order that was issued by California that essentially stated that any non-essential workers are to stay at home. The list of essential workers is actually very long. So please make sure that you go to our link that we're going to be providing to see if that your specific industry or workforce is considered essential. But everyone else who's not essential is essentially instructed to stay at home. But we know that that's not clear, specifically having to do with if you can't work from home, does that mean you're terminated, and the like. So specifically when we're dealing with the stay-at-home order, if you could call it that, we have to be sure that if you are not essential, you technically should not be working. So if on the first and foremost, if your employer is saying that you have to come in and you are not essential, you need to contact us right away. But on a federal level, we're dealing with a new Family First Coronavirus Response Act that provides a couple of different changes in the law with respect to paid leave and leave in general. So with respect to paid leave, the law has changed and effectively has said that if you cannot work, your employer is required to provide you with 2 weeks of paid leave, starting April 2nd, I believe. And with respect to the issue of asking for time off or needing to be home if your child is at home, the law has been changed in a couple of ways. Number one, it's now applies to any employer with 500 or fewer employees. And specifically, it says that you are entitled to this 80 hours or 2 weeks, if you would call it, of leave that's paid. And in addition to that, if you need additional time, that the employer will not take certain employment actions against you, or if they can, they will try and bring you back to work as practical or practicable in that situation. In addition to that, we're dealing with employees who complain or object to being required to work. The law has effectively stated that no employer will take action against you in those contexts of essentially not having to work or not being able to work. Now, if you are experiencing coronavirus-like symptoms, it's very important that you do inform your employer right away for two reasons. Number one, it can trigger these different new laws that we discussed. But in addition to that, what we're dealing with here is if you are sick or if you do have a medical condition, technically speaking, the Fair Employment Housing Act still applies and is in effect, and your employer has to discuss any potential accommodations in the form of a leave or allowing you to go to your doctors if you are still working as an essential worker. And in addition to that, it's important, I think, to recognize here that this law or the protections that are in effect in California, specifically relating to safety and health, those apply not only for employees who are themselves suffering from symptoms, flu-like symptoms or coronavirus type symptoms. They also apply to individuals who need time off to take care of a loved one that might be experiencing these symptoms, and also to care for their children who are home because the schools are closed down. Now, we understand that there are several questions that might arise out of this, and if you have any questions relating to the new law and what you're experiencing at work, or if you're unsure on how to deal with certain situations, we recommend highly that you contact an attorney right away, somebody who practices employment law on the employee side, so that they can provide you guidance. And also we'll provide you with our contact information and a link to our page here, so that way you can contact us if you have any further questions relating to the coronavirus and what your rights are and what your employer is telling you. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm attorney Naveed Kanani, and please be safe, everyone.